Konnichiwa, and welcome to part 4 of Rise of Team Outcast. Well, this chapter is gonna be fun, and don't I know it? Well, part 3 we met Anko Mitarashi, the Jonin sensei of the Team Outcast. And this is not gonna be your top of the mill bell test. No. This one is going to be different. Oh boy, I can't wait to get into this one. So, enough dilly-dally. You know the drill. Punch that subscribe button in the face. Ring that notification bell with a large hammer so you never miss a video, and leave a comment down below. And, if possible, share this with your friends. Spread the word of chaos. But, in the meantime, let's jump right into this fan fiction reading. Chapter 4, The Getting Test. In reverse. So, how do you like your new team? Naruto asked his sister absent-mindedly while slurping some noodles. After they had finished meeting their sensei, he and her decided to grab some food as a pick-me-up when they discovered their teams and if they were bad. By the fact that Natsumi was on her 7th bowl of ramen, things probably went less than stellar. God, they're horrible. First of all, Sakura is completely useless outside of the academy. Kakashi asked our likes, dislikes, streams, and stuff multiple times. She didn't finish her thought. Looked at Sasuke and squealed. Even Kyubi was complaining about her ears ringing after that. Natsumi started earning a chuckle from Naruto about his mother. Next, we have the ever-brooding Uchiha. You know, I get it. His brother almost killed his clan and is now a rogue. But why is he so broody? Still has his mom, most of his clan, and people who actually want to be his friend. Yet he feels like he is the superior ninja who looks down on all others, like he is a god or something. It's infuriating, Natsumi continued. I believe Mom said it best. Ignore the egotistical ones and leave them to deal with their eye infections themselves. Just try to keep things civil, or at least Mikoto's sake. Naruto said Mikoto, while in addition to being the matriarch of the Uchiha, was also his godmother, so they tended to get along. She even showed him a few low-rank fire jutsu. Alright, but if he starts shit, you can bet I'll knock him on his chicken-headed ass. That's what we said. I think that's the most I ever heard you curse. Anyway, what about Kakashi? He as bad as everyone says he is? Naruto asked. Are you kidding me? He's worse! First of all, he was there 3 hours late to meet us. Second, as we were talking about him, he was reading Jiraiya's books right in front of us. And worst of all, I believe he wants to favor the Uchiha some kind of recompense for how he acted to his old teammate. Meaning I'm only gonna have training with Mom and Dad to go with. Well, and whatever you and Kyubi are willing to give, Natsumi said, the last part in a low voice to avoid others hearing. Well, don't worry. Knowing Mom and Dad, they'll help fill in the blanks. Besides, you already have a ton of training from them and are probably way ahead of where those two are, so no harm done, right? Naruto said, Ha! Guess you're right. Yeah, I guess you're right, Natsumi said, finished her ramen. Paying for the bowls, the two left, heading different ways. Hey, aren't you coming back home? Mom and Dad said that everyone coming over tonight for a great surprise. Let's try that again. Hey, aren't you coming back home? Mom and Dad said that everyone's coming over tonight for a get-together with Jiraiya back in town. Natsumi asked, looking as he left. You go on ahead and tell him I'll be there in a little while. I gotta get a few things I need to take care of before I get back revolving around tomorrow's getting test, Naruto said, glancing back. Natsumi shivered when she saw the smirk on his face. Many had learned to fear that smirk, because when it came out, the, in, the inner fuzzy trickster came out, and someone was about to be pranked. So, choosing the smart option, she nodded and left the area as fast as possible, heading to, heading to tell her dad to prep the armor for a code fuzzy. Now I can make Uncle Sensei's life a living hell tomorrow, he thought deviously as he headed to meet up with his friends. The next day, Team Outcast looked up to see the imposing set before them. They stood in front of a large, fenced-off forest filled to the brim with massive, ominous trees looming over them. Sounds of wild animals and insects louder than they should be. And worst of all, the smell of absolute fear and death. A single thought passed through their minds as they stared up at the grounds of doom. Home sweet home, they thought. Unknown to almost everyone in the village, Team Outcast was probably the only ones who had spent more time within the forest of death than their sensei. To them, it was the perfect training ground to not only hone their skills, but practice their more secretive techniques and their animal senses. Welcome, kiddies! This behind me is the charming little hellhole known as the Forest of Death, Uncle said, looking down at them from her spot on top of the fence. If she expected them to be pissing themselves, she was proven wrong when they simply nodded. So with that, she hopped down. So then, since I'm not like most teachers and don't want a bunch of pansy students I have to babysit, I have devised a very specific test. One I believe only your particular group can pass, she explained. What kind of test are we talking about? Kiana asked, crossing her arms. She had an idea in mind, but wanted it confirmed. Simple. In a few minutes after we get some things settled, I am going to head into the forest. Your job in the time span of, let's say a day, is to find me and put one scratch on me in any shape or form. Blocks don't count, so don't even think about whining. You do this, and you're getting. If not, then I get to check your butts right back into the academy, she explained. First, though, you need to sign these. This way I can't get in trouble if one of you gets munched, she said, handing them a set of waivers to sign. As they did, she took a moment to study them and noticed two things that hadn't been there the day before. First, the cat girl had a large silver folding war fan strapped to her back, obviously making her a wind-type user if she had it. Second, the dog was now carrying a chocoto on his belt. That's odd in and of itself. I never seen an Inuzuka carrying around a weapon that didn't work in conjunction with their family style. Maybe this kid's trying to break the normal for them. Would explain why he's on this team. I'll have to watch Kitten. If she knows how to use that war fan, I may be in some deep shit. Wonder if Fuzzy has any hidden tricks up his sleeve, she thought. So, you said this test was specific for our team. What did you mean? Kenji asked out of curiosity when they handed back their forms. Well, let's say by some miracle you end up passing this little test of mine. If you did, then I intend to make this team a track and interrogation team, she said. She had thought about having them be assassination, but she soon realized on one thing. Though they were silent, they always seemed to know the best ways to get info out of people. She had seen them do things like that once or twice and it impressed her. Well, now that is settled, you kiddies have 10 minutes till you can start. See you later. Probably, she said before vanishing in a shunshin to the forest. The three looked at each other and smirked. How long until she figures out that it's not us being tested to see if we could be her students, but she is being tested to see if she could be our teacher? Kiana asked, her smirk hidden by her face mask. Oh, give it 10 minutes and we'll probably hear the first scream, Kenji said. Takamaru snickered on his head and barked. 10 minutes? I give it 2 before she hits the first trap, Naruto said. Anko snickered to herself as she jumped through the branches of the trees. This was going to be so much fun messing with the kitties and seeing if they could actually even find her. When she had first gotten this assignment to be Team 11 sensei, she had assumed she would hate it. She had absolutely no patience for any kind of kids, and dealing with them for an extended period of time did not sit well with her. However, when she had first heard which team she was teaching, her initial fears had been put to rest. They didn't act like fresh little punks straight out of the academy who thought they were almighty and would live forever. The three of them were ready warriors who accepted they needed to get stronger, weren't about to go and whine about how hard things were, and were actually going to put in the effort to learn and grow as ninja. And odds are that would save their lives. Her thoughts were interrupted as she stopped on a nearby branch and looked around. She could swear she could hear a faint sizzling sound, and she had no idea where it was coming from. Looking around, she grew even more confused until she looked down, and there were about 5 explosive tags under her. What? Was all she was able to get out before BOOM! She was sent flying into a rain of multicolored paint bombs and stopped herself from face planting on the ground, just barely. What the hell was that? She yelled, whipping stray paint off her face. She was about to march off when her foot was yanked out from under her and whipped her upwards until gravity returned and she landed face. It says fast first, but I'm pretty sure they meant face first, into a large puddle of mud. She growled as she pulled herself out and whipped the mud away. Taking a kunai, she slashed the rope on her ankle and stood. If those three have anything to do with this, I swear I'm gonna... She was stopped once again mid-rant when the sound of something clicking was heard. Looking down, she realized she had been moving while she ranted and just hit a tripwire. Before she even had time to think, multiple balloons filled with some form of liquid hit her dead on and made her fall over onto her back. I know I should be serious reading these, but God, I love these. Like, I cannot be serious with comedy this golden. What is it with you three and hitting people in the face? She yelled out, knowing they could hear her. No answer came, and she growled. Standing, she kept moving, now being far more cautious than she had ever been before, and taking things slow. This worked for about 200 feet before she hit another tripwire. This time, nothing hit her. Instead, she stumbled back as 2 logs came down and smashed together, her face a mix of terror and confusion. Are these brats trying to kill me? She screamed in her head as she took off like a bullet to find a place to hide. A bad idea, as moments later she was pelted by numerous traps and pranks. Elsewhere, watching things from afar in a safe place, Naruto and the others watched Anko with great interest as she made her way through the booby-trapped woods. You see, the night before they had spent many hours filling up the forest with as many prank items and non-lethal booby traps as they could make. Thus far, Anko had barely hit 100th of the traps, including the only semi-lethal traps. You think we're a bit too cruel with all these traps? Genji asked, munching on some snacks they had brought. We had to make sure that she is a strong person. Otherwise, do you really think she'd be able to teach us? We're not normal people, Kenji, and we can't have a sensei who will assume that and will break when we don't behave like they expect us to, Yana pointed out. Besides, we only lay at the first ring of the forest with traps. If she can get through that, then we can go and find her and land a strike to pass her test. She proves to us she can handle our weirdness, and we prove to her that we are ready to beginning, Naruto said. Yeah, I suppose you're right. She's done pretty well so far, Kenji pointed out. Ah, but remember, she hasn't even reached the seals yet, Naruto said. Oh no. Oh no. Back with Anko, she was slowly becoming a nervous wreck, pecking around corners and checking everything before she had even moved a foot ahead. This is insane. The children are the ones who are supposed to be given the test, yet I feel like I'm the one being tested, she thought to herself. Finally, she came to a clearing that seemed empty, scanning everything in sight just to make sure, however. Finally, when she deemed it safe, she stepped and took a breath, only for a moment later a large seal to glow and her to be covered in honey. Oh, come on! She whined and began moving again. No place was safe as far as she was concerned, and she needed to keep moving. For the next half hour, it was a game of dodge the seal for her. Everywhere she went, some kind of seal or another was painted in a random spot with a random effect. Sometimes she was covered with something, sometimes she was chased by animals. Sometimes something crazy would happen to her senses, or just confuse her and think she was up with some kind of drug. I couldn't even say that with a straight freaking face. Finally, she reached the end and found no more seals. She nearly wept by this point. Her clothes were almost completely shredded and matted with paint. Her hair was a mess. She looked like a clown gave her makeup. She was simply a mess and collapsed right there on the spot. Okay, okay, that's it. I give up. I can't deal with any more of these insane damn traps. If you brats don't want me as your sensei, then just tell me and I'll find someone else. But for the love of Kami, no more! She yelled, hoping they heard her. She panted as darkness began to creep into her vision. The last thing she saw before she slipped into the bliss of darkness were 3 pairs of feet landing in front of her. The next thing Anko knew, she was blinking her eyes awake in some kind of dimly lit wooden room. I told you we went too far. You were meant to make a point, not mentally break her or something like that. A voice off to her left said. Is that the dog boy? Okay, we get it, Kenji. We went way overboard on the traps and need to apologize for it. Kami, you don't have to rub it in, another said. That was fuzzy. With a groan, Anko pushed herself off of whatever she was laying on, which turned out to be a surprisingly comfortable bed. Glancing around, she saw her 3 students all sitting at the table talking with each other. Where am I? She asked, squinting as she looked around. Anko-sensei, glad you're finally awake, Naruto said, rushing over and checking her to make sure she didn't have any injuries. The events of the test suddenly sprang up in her mind, and she jumped back, half expecting some crazy trap to come flying out of nowhere and cover her paint or eggs or something. No, I am not doing any more of you three's crazy traps. Just tell me now who you want, and I'll ask the Hokage to get them as your sensei, Anko said. Anko-sensei, what are you talking about? We don't want any other sensei. Hell, you're probably the only one we could actually want, Kenji said, clearly confused. Oh, really? Then why was the forest filled to the brim with traps? Anko said accusingly. To make sure that you could survive being around us and not get hurt when things turn bad, Kiana said in a calm tone. This took a minute for Anko to process. When it finally hit her, she answered with the most intelligent question she could come up with at that moment. What? She asked. The 3 chuckled before turning serious. Anko, we know about how bad you have it with the fact that you were at... Anko, we know about how bad you have it with the fact that you were Orochimaru's apprentice, and in turn and traitor ended up ruining your life with half the village hating you, Naruto said, making her stiffen. Well, in some ways, we have it the same way as you, and in others, we have it differently, Naruto said, starting before pointing to Kenji. For Kenji, it's his clan. Even though the Inuzuka care about the pack more than anything, they see him as an outsider, a lone wolf, someone who doesn't belong because he's different than them, Naruto said. For Kiana, it's her past. Yes, she may have come here looking for a home, but no one seems to accept her. They all see her as nothing more than a girl from a different ninja village who they think will turn traitor any time they think you will, Naruto continued. And for me, it's my sister and my mother. Everyone in the village, despite what my dad says, just keeps seeing Natsumi as a Kyubi. And they all hate her for it. And they hate me because they think I should be with them, calling her a freak rather than defending her. Not to mention, I constantly give them hell whenever they do decide to try something against her, Naruto finished. Uncle thought over those words. Suddenly, a lot of things like the traps in the forest, everything made sense. Even if she had a rough life, they were showing her that joining them would not increase her standing. If anything, it would make her hated more. They wanted her to make sure she could handle it. Odd since she was supposed to be the teacher, but she saw where they were coming from. They had it just as rough of lives as her and didn't want her to get sucked into their problems if she couldn't deal with them. Oh, damn it. She was going to be dealing with them for one reason now. They were her brats and no one else's. Well, I will say this. This has been the oddest Genin test that has ever been given in the history of the Leaf Village. But I can honestly say it was a good one, she said, smirking, which they mirrored. I get what you guys did, and I understand where you're coming from, so understand. I don't care. I don't care who comes at us with what. You are now officially my brats, and anyone messes with you, I will gladly feed to a snake, she said, standing. And you're our sensei. Anyone who gives a hard time will discover just what it means to get payback from Team Outcast, Naruto said. Alright then, in that case, Team 11 is officially formed, and Team Outcast is now an unofficial team of Konoha. Now I just have one last question to ask you, she said. Where the hell are we? She asked. Anko smiled a bit as she stood in line next to the other Jonin commanders, who had been given teams. After her and the kiddies had finished talking, they went their separate ways to prepare for the start of their real training tomorrow. Alright, everyone, let's get things started here. Kakashi, how did Team 7 do? Minato asked, looking at his former student. They passed, but only barely. They failed the initial bell test because they couldn't work together, and only managed to pass the second when Sasuke and Natsumi fed Sakura, Kakashi explained. Kinda saw that coming. Alright, what about Team 8? Minato asked Kurenai. The team passed. We will need to work on how Kiba acts and boost Hinata's confidence, but I can see them making a well-rounded track team, Kurenai said calmly. Good. Next, Team 10, Minato said. They passed just fine. We're gonna have a few things to work out if I plan on to get them to stuff like... They're just fine. We're gonna have a few things to work on if I plan to get them up to stuff like the old Shikacho team. But other than that, they'll do fine. They'll do well, Asuma said, taking a drag from his smoke. Try to make sure not to focus on all their skills right there. We have had that team before, so some nation is bound to come up with a weakness for it, Minato told him. He could already see that problem happening. Will do, Asuma said, nodding. Finally, we have Team 11, Minato said. At this, all eyes turned to Anko, who smirked and shivers down their spines. Not only did they pass with flying colors, I already plan to get them to help me interrogate prisoners. Those three are lethal when they work together, and their devious little minds can make even the toughest man squeal. All in all, they earned their spots as Genin, and then some, she said. Minato felt a swell of pride inside of him when Uncle said that. He always wanted to praise Naruto for his accomplishments, more since he wasn't his born son, and this would be something to celebrate. Alright then, in that case, you're dismissed, Minato said, deciding to have a talk with both his children when they got home for dinner. The other Jonin nodded and left. Anko smirked as she left through the windows and made her way towards her favorite restaurant to get herself some well-earned dango. After everything that had happened today, she began to realize that being the brat sensei was going to be one hell of a ride. Yet she had a feeling she was going to enjoy it every step of the way. And when that road finally ended, she was going to look at her students with pride at the legends they had become. Yep, life for Team Outcast was about to get a whole lot more exciting. Oh, God. Well, if that's not... Well, ain't that a kick in the balls? Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. I'm not getting paid for these anyway, so... At least not yet, anyway. Anyway, this was one hell of a chapter, if I do say so myself. God, Team Outcast is like... Believe it or not, I kind of can relate to these fellows. I was kind of an outcast myself when I was in school. I was just the kind of guy I was. I was never really one for social interactions, except with a small group of friends that I had. I never liked talking to people, which is surprising since I'm actually doing this. And again, since I'm not actually talking to people like in person, maybe it's all better. I don't know. I'll probably figure that out eventually. Oh, and before I forget, I do have a little thing planned out for the 100 subscribers special. A movie is in plan. But that won't happen until we reach 100 subscribers. Oh, and a few, I think it was I don't know. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I have a very important story I have a very special story I want to read eventually. It is called Yet Again with a Little Extra Help by Third Fang. But I won't read that unless people really want me to. Because trust me, that's going to be a very dedicated series for me to read. That is 77 chapters, and it's complete. So, you guys want me to read that story? You'll have to stay tuned. I probably won't complete that until I finish What If Naruto Had Cutie Cutie Boat Show, Rise of Team Outcast, and quite possibly do that special movie. But until then, hit this big red subscribe button, make sure it turns gray. Hit that like button so you never miss a video. Leave a comment down below. And I've been the Chaos Master. And I'll see you all in the next one. Chaos Control!